Public theater is...
The public theater is
To me, the public theater is
a space that can be filled by real people.
Where I can see bold and experimental theater.
Revolutionary.
This fall, we welcome two icons into the building. Two activists, two legends, two friends, James Baldwin and Lorraine Hansberry. Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of the new Public Square 2.0. Hey everybody, it's Garlia here at the Public. The Public Theater is...
Yeah, what?
My name is Garlia Cornelia Jones, and recently I was given the honor of becoming the Director of Innovation and New Media at the Public Theater. Prior to holding this position, I was a line producer at the Public for about 3.5 years. Before the Public, I was working as a producer and a playwright for almost 2 decades. And in the last 10 years, juggling being the mother to 2 children. I mention this both to give you context for me as a person, but also because I think it's important that we acknowledge this moment. For most of the time I have worked in this industry, positions like the one I occupy now have been rare. And for me as a Black woman, being promoted to this role at a predominantly white institution like the Public speaks to the beginning of a sea change in our industry. If this position were occupied by any woman of color, their presence in this space would have weight. But it's not just any woman. It's me. I am a mother, native Detroiter, artist, and theater professional. And I am so happy to welcome you into this space. I am also a person who stutters, which is something that you will periodically experience as we grow together with this podcast. In my role as Director of Innovation and New Media, it's my responsibility to push the boundaries, to use more contemporary forms of art to reintroduce you to us, the Public Theater. But who are we, and why should you really care? Founded in New York over 60 years ago by Joseph Papp, the Public Theater is a civic institution engaging both on stage and off with some of the most important ideas and social issues of today. And more than being a home and a hub for theater in New York, more than being an incubator for new and classic work, our goal is to be a place where everyone can come together to use the theater to tear down barriers and create opportunities for new stories. Has the institution always accomplished this goal? No, but progress isn't a straight path. So here we are, beginning this journey again with the relaunch of the Public Theater's podcast, Public Square. Every now and then, we'll get the opportunity to come together and talk with the artists, staff, crew, and audience that make theater happen. I am really excited to invite you into this new space, and I look forward to us getting to know each other. And don't worry, my intros will not be this long every time. One of the amazing individuals that supports the work here at the Public Theater is Ruth Sternberg, our production executive. Ruth is what some people might refer to as a spitfire, a no-nonsense badass, and she needs to be. In her role, she is responsible for leading the production department at the Public, one of our largest and most complex teams. Recently, Ruth and I had the chance to sit down and talk about her career. Here is part of that conversation. Okay, Ruth.
Yes.
Ruth Sternberg. I'm really excited to be here with you. I'm really excited that you are the first staff guest on the rebranding of this Public Theater podcast, Public Square. And as soon as I found out that you were leaving us, I said, Ruth has to be the first one. So just thrilled that you were here.
And I am honored that you chose me to do this with you on the first one. I'm honored that you chose me to do it at all. I'm really honored that you chose me to do the first one. So thank you.
Of course. So let's just deep dive with the time that we've got. And how long have you been at the Public, and when did you first come here?
I've been here for 17 years, 8 months, and I don't know how many days.
Okay, that's very, very specific.
Very specific.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I got here because I was working with Oscar Eustis at Trinity Repertory Company. I was the director of production there, and he applied for the artistic director position at the Public, and asked me to join him. He initially said to me, would you be willing to talk about going to New York maybe at the beginning of next season? I said, sure, I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. And then I think that was probably right before Thanksgiving. And then I was driving home to Pennsylvania to visit my parents. I think it was Christmas Eve. And I got a call from Oscar that said, the guy who has your job just quit at the Public, so can you start sooner? And I said, sure, we can talk about it. So it turned out that, in the next month, I think I had negotiated my position at the Public with Maura Manis, who was the executive director at that point, and started part-time on February 1st, where I was working at the Public 2 days a week, was working at Trinity Repertory Company 3 days a week, and then at the beginning of May was full-time at the Public. And that was in 2005. I commuted, and Oscar and I commuted together, which is its own, quite often. We're driving together because we were both still doing both jobs.
Wow. And I would love for you to touch a little bit on the partnership that the two of you have built over the last 20, 30 years. I feel like there's something very special in our industry about having these artistic and collaborative partners, and that you and Oscar have been that for each other over quite a bit of time.
Yeah, a very long time. The first time I met Oscar was in 1989. He was directing a production of Julius Caesar at Trinity Repertory Company.
Okay.
Anne Bogart was the artistic director, and she was only the artistic director there for 1 year, and she booked what I thought was like the most amazing season of theater ever. And Oscar was a part of that. And so I met him then, and then I met him a few other times. Yeah. So by the time I got hired as the production manager at Trinity, it felt like we already knew each other, or we had known of each other, and had circled around each other working on different projects. I rehearsed a show at the Mark Taper Forum when he was there as the associate artistic director, and ran into him again. And I think because of that comfort from the beginning and from before we were actually in a boss-employee relationship,
Yeah.
I never felt like I had to hold back on what my opinion was, which was helpful. I think that the fact that the relationship started in a place that wasn't hierarchical was helpful because it made me more confident about being willing to say, can you look at this from a different angle? And I think that made a huge difference and helped nurture our relationship with each other. And I also think that because starting a Trinity Repertory Company, I think we did 6 shows a year total. We actually got to work together on a smaller scale before making it. Then we came to the public where there were 6 venues and the Delacorte Theater. And when we started at the public, I think on the schedule that first year were 6 shows in the downtown theaters and 1 show in the park.
Yeah.
We did 2 shows in the park that summer because we added 1 kind of at the last minute.
Right. Yeah. I remember you and I talking a bit about sort of the structure and the changes within the season that started after you came here.
Yeah. Yeah. The first year there were 8 people in the production department. It was 1 production manager, 1 assistant production manager, and then a lighting supervisor, a prop supervisor, costume supervisor, audio supervisor, scenery supervisor, and my assistant. I think that was it.
Wow.
We added projects, and I said, Oscar, we need to get these people assistants, and then the growth began.
Yeah. Do you feel like that growth and the way that you really supported the structuring of the department is part of your legacy here?
I think that one of the big differences here is because of the volume of work that we do and the different kinds of programs, whether they be sending tours to correctional facilities or doing a public works pageant on the stage in Central Park with 200 people, we have to be able to, there's no one set way to do the projects that we do. Mm-hmm. There's also no way to maintain what is a traditional management structure in production. Usually what happens is there's one production manager and the technical director reports to them and the lighting supervisor reports to them. But because we have right now 4 production managers, you can't have that linear hierarchy. Right. So we have what is kind of like a matrix of, production managers who are in charge of shows or projects, and department heads or department reps who are responsible for those projects. But the team that is on one show will not necessarily be the same team on the other show because all of the disciplines work on different time schedules. So scenery may have to start 10 weeks before we go into rehearsal, and lighting may have to start 4 weeks before we go into rehearsal. When you schedule the people who are covering those projects, it's not going to necessarily be the same team.
Right.
And that is the, I think, greatest complicating factor of managing production at the Public Theater.
Yes. But I mean, I have really enjoyed coming to such a big institution, right, and learning a great deal from the structures that we have. I know it is something that I think about on other projects, and when I think about work outside of the public, and thinking about how we really create a team that can best support a project and the artists, right, that we
Mhm.
serve. And so I think all of the work that you did has really has really made an impact, right, in the way that we think about, well, what do we need to really make the work, and so everybody has a piece of this bigger pie, right?
Mhm. Right,
Uh,
and it's
no,
also,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's also about making sure that we're serving that project,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the answer that we came up with on the last project may have been a perfectly fine answer for that project,
right,
but on
right.
this one, are we still serving the play?
Yeah,
And it
absolutely.
also makes us have to communicate more,
Yes.
which is great when it happens and terrible when it doesn't. But
right.
I also think that the thing that's so interesting about it is I think we've all learned, and you're referencing this proves my point, that we've all learned how to talk about the work in a deeper way across departments. That doesn't necessarily have to happen if you've got a set structure. Fitting into the structure becomes more important than serving the individual art piece.
Right. Right. Yeah. Is there a favorite show that you had?
That's such a hard question.
That's a hard question.
That's
it's probably
a really
very
hard
unfair.
question. It's really unfair because I was trying to figure out how many shows I've done since I've been here. And it's got to be, I think it's probably over 300.
Oh my God.
So I don't even know that I'm remembering all of the shows that I did while you're asking me this question. But I think there's some that are very special. Two Gentlemen of Verona, the musical, was the first musical we did in the park. Okay. That was the show that Oscar added in the first summer that we were here. And I didn't know it very well. And I had never produced a musical outside before. So there were so many things that I learned, but it was so joyous. And everybody who was working on it was so happy to be working on it. It was very, very exciting. So that's kind of like the beginning of this is really exciting.
Yeah.
Doing hair in the park. Yeah. I loved the album. My parents wouldn't let me see the play when it came out, but we had the album and I listened to it all the time. Yeah. So that was just kind of a nostalgia. Oh my goodness, I'm getting to work on this. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And then it went to Broadway, and that was even more of a boon. It's funny because the shows I want to work on are huge. I want to use toys and tricks that I've never had to do before because then I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the reality is when I go to the theater to watch a show, I want to see good acting, and that usually means a play, and quite often a smaller play because the emotional connection comes from the actors and not from all the stuff. And the curse of the job that I have is if I go to a theater and it's got some tricks in it. I saw, this is a little out of character, but I saw Mary Poppins on Broadway, and Mary Poppins flies above the audience with her umbrella.
Yes.
And all I could think of while watching that was, oh, wow, where do they control that from? In terms of enjoying theater, for me, it's about enjoying really good acting.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say I think I go into shows, especially with my kids, and there's something really fantastical, and I'm like just always paying attention to. Oh, that's how they did that, or
yeah, right,
or and that totally ruins it.
But it takes you completely out of the experience that has been designed for the audience member to participate in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's I think
that would be the curse of working.
I was going to say that is our curse, right? We know too much.
Yes.
I think thinking about all of these shows that you have and experienced, are there any moments that really stand out to you? Just in your years here that really even embody what you feel like the public theater is?
Well, I think every time I see a public works show, I am so moved by it and so moved by the community participation, both on the stage and with the audience who attends. I think that warms my heart more than anything else that we do. And it's, from a production standpoint, is the hardest thing that we do. Because you're talking just, there's the sheer size and having to build what I refer to as a tent city backstage because we don't have enough dressing rooms for 200 people. But it's the most moving. It feels the most genuine. And every time I am reduced to tears, there's no exception to that of anything I've seen that Public Works has done. And it just makes me feel really good because it's tied into the mission in a very, very strong way.
Yeah.
And the mission is, aside from Oscar, is the reason that I'm here.
Yeah. So, you have talked about your journey to get here, and now that time you're going to retire, and that time's going to come to an end here. At least I know that you have some plans for your time afterwards. And so thinking about what advice do you have to people who are just starting out in, production, or who are interested in, having a similar career path that you've had? And I think certainly going from an academic institution to a theater such as the Public is also, just such a really great thing to know and to aspire to as well.
I mean, the thing that I speak to a lot of early career theater people, and the biggest piece of advice is it's about the work. It's not about, one of the things that quite often I hear is, well, if I do that, will they know it was me? It doesn't matter. If you are part of a successful team, it means everybody was successful, and that's recognized. Yeah. And the whole point is, we're here to do the work. Focusing on the work is really good. We get into trouble when there's a different agenda on the table.
Okay, Ruth, can you fill in the blank? The Public Theater is?
The Public Theater is a gift to New York City, to the artists and staff who get to participate here.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Joe's Pub is still here and transforming people and passing along the message that really is New York, that we are here as a family, and we must commune, and we must tell our stories. We must hear the stories that make up this diverse city.
Some say art is impractical, frivolous, a fantasy. To them we say, yes, it's all that and more.
People that sit in the audience, we want something that is true.
It's the current that electrifies humanity.
So we want to come in and leave politics behind, and leave the dangers behind, and leave the sadness behind. We want to come here and really celebrate ourselves.
It's the joyful noise that needs no translation.
It's a wonderful opportunity for people like me who are trans, or people of color, or people from foreign countries to just get out and really vibe with an audience. And it's a great way to develop community.
It's the pulse of New York City.
You have a mix of people, and you have a mix of ideas, and all of that energy is on the stage. This is what we should be doing with our diverse ideas and with our different backgrounds, putting it to good energy. And I've seen artists on stage transform and give us something with each delivery that tells us a new story, and it makes you pay attention to the details, If I shift one little thing in my life will be different.
Our venues aren't merely houses, they're homes.
Joe's Pub is that. It is all the different people coming together and shifting somehow to be in one room with one objective, which is just to learn more, to be more.
I couldn't tell you what the world's going to be like in 20 years, but I can tell you that Joe's Pub is going to be a part of it.
This pilot episode is really special to me. I have a conversation with one of our writers in residence and Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, Susan Laurie Parks. Over the last year, at least, SLP, as she is known around our public theater community, has become a mentor. For me, she is part big sister, part cousin, part friend. She is also one of the most prolific theatrical artists of the past 20 years and exists in a legacy of artists like Lorraine Hansberry, James Baldwin, August Wilson, and Langston Hughes.
I'm Susan Laurie Parks, also known as SLP, and I am a writer person. I got my life, so far so good. I got things happening more or less like they should. I got my butter.
We are here. Are we really doing a podcast? This is crazy.
I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
That means a lot. That means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I just need to take a beat too. I think this is emotional moment for me too.
Proud of you.
I think it's because
why? Yeah.
I think just taken a lot to get here to this spot, and I'm thinking about that first moment. The first time I met you in person, and we didn't actually meet, but I brought my children.
Right.
I think I told you on that very long journey. I was just about to get a divorce. I was didn't have a car. We took the train.
Yeah, you took the
about
train.
2 hours up to New
Right.
Haven, and this is in 2018.
Right.
And I had just found the application for the line producer job at the Public.
Wow.
And I was checking back through my notes, and I was just I was chatting with some friends at the time, and just asking about the job and thinking about it. And then in that same week or day, I came up. It was September 14th that we made the trip to the Wyndham
Campbell Awards,
Prizes.
right?
Yeah.
The Wyndham Campbell Prizes. You're right.
Yep, and you had a session on writing songs with
writing
Susan Laurie
songs, right?
Parks,
Which is very unexpected for them because they were praising my my playwriting and my novel writing and my essays and things like that. And then they said, what additional program would you like to do? And they thought I was going to give some lecture about something or other. And I'm like, I'm going to bring my guitar and I'm going to talk about how I wrote this song or how and why I wrote this song. And they just were, I think they were very surprised. Yeah. And that's where I met you, in the middle of this surprise offering. Yes. There you were, with my children, having traveled all this way. Your children were very lovely. I remember they were very lovely, and they didn't, they stayed in their seats, as I remember, eating their snacks, right? I know. And I was up there sort of showing people that I do more than just write fabulous plays.
Yes.
Yes.
So. And I was checking some of my notes because I keep journals about everything.
Right,
so I was checking some of my notes to kind of see what you said that day. And something that I wrote down is that you were talking about the artist as a deep sea diver, right?
Yeah.
And pulling down things and then showing them. And I'm curious about your current sort of season, right? And
Right.
what sort of deep sea diving are you doing right now? Because I feel like you're swimming, you're everywhere.
Yeah, I know. I'm like everywhere all at once. It feels so good to talk with you about it, because we met in coffee shops and hanging out. We've been hanging, so now this is like an official hang where we're like being, recorded. So it's super fun to do this. What kind of deep sea diving am I doing now? It's just being my fullest self. People say they're living their authentic self, and we can be our authentic selves in many, many ways. And I feel like I am really my authentic self now, while I'm doing all these different kinds of things, so that we've got, Top Dog, Underdog, and reviving on Broadway at the Golden.
Yes.
And while I'm in rehearsals downtown, couldn't get funkier. You know what I mean? Couldn't get more experimental, really couldn't get more experimental. So we have the classic uptown. Yeah. And for those people who go, oh, gee, she sold out her, her downtown roots. I'm at the same time downtown trying something brand new. Yeah. The world premiere of Place for the Plague Year. Yeah. And I'm trying things that I've never, tried before. I'm on stage performing and singing my songs with a wonderful group of actors. But I wrote 23 songs for the show, and music and lyrics. People are like, you wrote the. I'm like, I wrote the music too. They're like, so that, and then we're doing at the Guthrie in Minneapolis. We're having the world premiere of Sally and Tom, and then. We were doing a workshop. We just finished a level 3, I think, workshop of The Harder They Come. Right. And they were rehearsing in the same space. So you were having to play back and
I was
forth.
Running back. What was that like?
It was crazy. So Tony Ciccone and Sergio Trujillo, amazing directors on that show, and. Yeah, they were rehearsing in, I think, Studio CD, which is the larger. The big room. Yes, and we were in the room across the hall. I think Studio A. I think it was. And I'm rehearsing Place for the Plague Year, like standing on stage, playing my guitar, singing the songs, leading our wonderful group of actors. Yeah. And then I put down the guitar and run across the hall because I want to see our wonderful actress Elsa sing a song that I wrote for that show. Okay. That was fun. That was really in The Harder They Come. Okay. They needed I wrote just a couple of weeks ago. I wrote a new song for Elsa, and she's the actress name is Mika. I believe. I don't want to get it wrong, but anyway, wonderful actress, and she sang it. It's called Hymn. HYMN. Okay, but it's also play on. Oh, you saw it? Did you see the?
No, I didn't.
Okay. It's okay. But anyway,
I feel like I heard people talking about that. So yes.
Yes. I wrote it for. I didn't write it. I wrote it for the show. Okay. So I ran across to hear her sing it. Great. Ran back across the hall.
But that sort of. Talk about being at home, right? Right. Talk about being in your home at the public and going back and forth and
right.
And then also thinking about what you do every month or every other month or depending on when
Watch Me Work.
Yeah.
Oh, it's every Monday.
It's
every Monday. Right. So to your question, I think you were asking. We were talking a little bit earlier about what is the public theater. The public theater is.
Yeah.
And for me, it would be the public theater is home. The public theater is home. Now, and then which I hope would encourage some questions.
Yes.
What is home for the likes of Suzan-Lori Parks?
Yeah.
What kind of place would give her a home?
Right.
What kind of place would she call home?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all the wonderful things that the public theater does.
Yeah.
And all the things that the public theater attempts to do, because we're not all perfect.
No.
And we're not always, successful.
Yeah.
But there is a great desire to give place, give space, give voice, allow all different kinds of folks at all different levels of their career, and even as they grow. Because I did my first play at the Public Theater in I want to make 94, maybe it's 1994, the America play in the Martinson.
Okay.
And then and I've grown as an artist, and the theater has continued to welcome me through all my various incarnations, and it's very significant to me that when I wrote 23 songs and said to Oscar, I have this, this thing called Plays for the Play Gear. And he said, what is it? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what it is. He said, well, let's see, know? So that kind of open-hearted imagination.
Yeah, and that is something I've been thinking about with Plays for the Play Gear, because I have seen it in, I think I saw I've seen part 1.
Yeah, you were there. I saw
part 2, and then I saw part.
Oh, you're hardcore.
I've seen all of them, and actually I found my notes. I saved. Who doesn't save their playbills and things, right? So I definitely found some notes I wrote, but I've seen all 3, right? And I think something I've noted in just that show and in general is that we're seeing a different side to you. We're seeing you as, mom, wife, partner, showrunner, right? We're seeing all of these different sides, and I'm curious what you are interested in sharing with the world through this.
With Plays for the Play Gear. How, well, I mean, it's kind of to distill it, because it's a huge, heart definitely. Too. We talked about the logo for it. We talked about the logo for it. And and Tam Shell does beautiful graphics. And is she the head of the graphics department? And she's the art director. Anyway, sorry. I demoted her. Anyway, raised her up. But she's awesome. We've known her for years. So she's the art director and does beautiful, beautiful work. And when she came to us and said, what kind of image, and she had this heart. And I'm like, yes, it is a heart. Yeah. It's very open-hearted. Yeah. And what I find is the fearlessness of my love. I'm just putting that together right now.
I love that.
Yeah. And I realized I was at the Guthrie with the actors for Sally and Tom. I've been blessed. I've always had wonderful, wonderful actors, directors, designers, producers to work with. Yeah. And this season, I have on Broadway, Kenny Leon's directing, and we got Corey Hawkins and Corey Hawkins and Yahya Abdul-Mateen, right? Yeah. The second. The experience making Top Dog this time around is so beautiful. Those brothers are so, they get it. Yeah. They get the mission. Sally and Tom in Minneapolis, I've had the best table work ever in my career. The conversations we had around the table about who belongs at the table, who belongs in the play, what stories of Sally and Tom are necessary. Yeah. Because not just about Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson, did they love each other or not? Right. It's not about that. Right. I mean, that's fine if that's, that's a limited conversation, but the idea that it's about how the world is made. Yeah. And all of us finding ourselves in it. It's also about the magic of theater and the lack of magic in theater, because both exist simultaneously. But I lost my train of thought. So, I don't know. But in
No, I mean, one of the things. So I think in thinking about home and thinking about the public as your home, and it's been your home since the 90s. You've seen.
Well, 1994. I mean, it was my, George C. Wolfe invited me in. I met George C. Wolfe at a party. And it was one of those parties where folks were dancing and drinking and whatnot. We were having a good old time, you know. And he says, like so many people back then, it was very fashionable because I'd won an Obie Award for Best New American Play.
Right.
So it was very fashionable to say to me, make these like, you know, I'm going to promise you the moon. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there he was at a very fashionable party saying, Susan Lloyd Parks, I'm going to do your plays. And I was like, yeah, thanks. Thanks. One more person promising me the moon. Didn't think he meant anything of it.
Right.
And when he became the producer and artistic director, what his title was, at the Public Theater, he actually started doing my plays. And I'm like,
you're like, wow. That was real.
That was real. That was real. And then that was a beautiful collaboration. And we did Top Dog Underdog on Broadway, and that was beautiful. And then when Oscar became the producer and artistic director of the Public Theater, he and I were hanging out on the floor, watching the final weekend of 365 days, 365 plays.
Okay.
We were hanging out, and Bonnie Metzger and I had produced this whole worldwide extravaganza of where I had written a play a day for a whole year. And then Bonnie and Rebecca Rugg and David Myers had the wonderful idea, well, why don't we produce it? Well, but Bonnie Metzger, really, she said, I told her, I'm writing a play a day for a whole year. Yeah. And a year later, Bonnie Metzger comes up to me and says, so where are they?
I want to play.
Where are they? Yeah. And I said, they're in my drawer. And she said, you have to produce them, right? Bonnie, the ultimate producer, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay. So we did them all over the world. The Public Theater was the hub in New York City.
Yeah.
So the last day of that year-long festival where we did the plays all over the world, Oscar and I were sitting on the floor watching some production, something. And he goes, do you want to come home? And I said, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, running CalArts and working with Oprah and all that. I'd gone out to Los Angeles. I love Los Angeles. Yeah, it's wonderful.
I remember.
Yeah, if that's what you like.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. Not knowing really what that would mean.
Yeah.
Although now I'm just making this up right now. Maybe it gives me a chance to be a lighthouse. Because being my home, I can stand there and help other people get there.
Yes.
Which brings me to the topic of, this is my big topic, sacred agents. I'm sorry, I went to the Guthrie because in rehearsal, I told them what I realized the day before. Oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm creating sacred agents.
Yeah.
Agents of the sacred. And that's what my work is doing. Yeah. In Place for the Plague Year, In the Harder They Come, definitely Top Dog Underdog. You can feel it every night. Sally and Tom, definitely you can feel it every night. I'm creating these agents of the sacred, which will help us get through.
Now I have so many other questions.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
Yes, no, I know.
You have to invite me back.
I know.
I can't just be on the first
all
one.
the time.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
We'll just have them follow us around to our coffee shop.
That would be actually perfect. We need to be on site. Justin, you're going to hang out with us on site. I think so. So thinking about being home, right, and thinking about this long history that you've had with the public, is there a takeaway that you have from your residency, and how valuable it's been, like, through these different stages of your career?
Well, it's been incredibly valuable to have an artistic home, to be one of the writers in residence, to have like a salary, and to be health benefits like that. I mean, let's be real about it. That's what the Public Theater under Oscar's leadership has given me, which means that I guess I don't have to, I can be freer to write the deep things, extend myself in ways that I might not be able to, where if I didn't have an artistic home. And for me also, as an Army brat, my father's in the service, we never lived anywhere more than a year at a time. We moved around so much. So to have a home, a place that I can say is my artistic home, is very, very meaningful to me. Would I be the writer if I didn't have that home? I'm bold enough to say yes because I go back to James Baldwin.
Yes.
I took a creative writing class with James Baldwin way back in the 80s. He said it was his first creative writing class that he'd ever taught.
Okay.
I was at Mount Holyoke College. He was at Hampshire College.
Okay.
He taught at Hampshire College.
Yeah.
So there were 15 of us around the table.
Yeah.
Now, we all were there.
Yeah.
So opportunities are, lots of people go to Harvard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
and some just go to community college. You know, so I think that it's just I am I'm very grateful to the Public Theater for giving me a home and allowing me all these things.
Right.
I'm also I recognize my own incredible work ethic.
Right.
Yes. So yeah. And my commitment to excellence and I never step in the same river twice.
Yeah.
Well,
and I mean, you talk about being a lighthouse, right? And I think for young Black female playwrights, right? Female identifying playwrights, having you in that space. I mean, I know for me, it's like, oh, well, there's someone who looks like me, who really looks like me. Right now, they're like, there's a place I see myself, right? And then I also think about other theaters that can create the same type of opportunity so that other writers can have such a long time to call a place home in order to really settle. Because I think what happens when you have a home like that is you can sort of take a deep breath.
Sometimes. I mean, home is, home and all.
Home,
you know what I'm saying? It ain't all Dorothy.
Home is not good.
It's got. I mean, I use that. You know me better. I use that word very deliberately because home. Yeah. It's where you hang your hat, but also, I was going to make a bad joke and I'm not going to go there. But it's not all like hurrah. Yeah. That's why I'm saying we cannot discount the work. I mean, 4 plays at once. I have I'm incredibly tense and watch me work. I mean, I'm very committed to helping create my sacred agent. So you said something in Vanity Fair quite some time ago. Oh, it must. Okay, I don't know. About James Baldwin. Okay, and so the part that I highlighted was the writing comes from the spirit, and you must be attentive in its presence. Right. And there's something very spiritual about watch me work. Right. Yeah. And the way that people come and sit there with you and strangers. And we just pull out our notebooks or laptops and you have this really cute red one. Right? Yeah. And the Audrey, we all make sure we can. And especially during the lockdown, kind of that height of the pandemic when you were on Zoom and you did it every day. Correct? Yeah, five days a week. 5 days a week. I know they said I had to take 2 days off because we could. But 5 days a week. Yeah, it was so important. Oh, thank you. It was just so important to be able to sit on a Zoom with hundreds of people. I mean, hundreds. We had sometimes 400, 500 people joining us every day, 5 days a week during lockdown. Yeah. I was show running my TV show, Genius Aretha, and we closed down. Yeah. And then I came home, like so many of us did, and I said, I'm going to do this every single day. And they said, well, 5 days a week is manageable. And so I got on Zoom every single day. Yeah. And 5 days a week, and did Watch Me Work, where basically I just sat there and said, okay, everybody. It didn't matter where you were in your career, if you even had a career, what you were working on. Right. It could be, we had some people who were painting, we had some people who were doing woodworking, we had some people who just wanted to talk about the process of being alive and what that meant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is really what Watch Me Work is all about. And if you're a writer, then we can apply it to writing. Yeah.
But what is the most exciting thing about meeting new? I won't just say young, because youth does not mean not only the young people, right? New things, right? So what is something for you that impacts you when you meet a new writer and they come and then come to a Watch Me Work and then they sort of feel inspired?
Yeah, what's most exciting to me are their obstacles. Watching them navigate their own obstacles. Because it's very meaningful to me, because we all have them.
Yeah.
And watching someone say, for example, because again, it's not an academic program. I'm inviting people in, come as you are, really.
Right.
And it's free. I tell people it's just like Shakespeare in the Park.
Yes.
But it's not Shakespeare and it's not in the park.
Right.
That's what I say to people. But it's, oh my God, laugh. Yeah, we're funny. But it's true. It's true. And people come, and what's exciting to me is when I hear, when they voice, because Watch Me Work, the title confuses people.
Yeah.
It's basically, we sit for 20 minutes. I put on my little timer, I turn it on, and we all do our work, whatever that work is. And then I entertain questions from the audience, from the attendees, about their work and their writing process.
Okay.
So it's not me talking about my work.
Right.
And I always say, like a very good girlfriend, if they ask me a question about like me, I make it about them.
Got it.
So it's always focused on the attendees, the students. And what's exciting is seeing people come up against their obstacles and know that they've brought their obstacles. Their obstacles have surfaced in that space because they know that I can dissolve them.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it makes me go like, I'm on my game.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But obstacles are human, right? I started this by telling you I had a whole lot of obstacles the first time I met you, right? And I love that, because it just, we think about how and then look that there's like a full circle, all the things that shifted. Obviously, I got the job, spoiler alert, right? And so I love that, because I think, obstacles are what make us kind of who we are in a way.
But and dissolving the obstacles makes us who we will be.
I like dissolving the obstacles.
Well, it's thrilling. It's thrilling. I'm not just sitting there talking.
Yeah.
What the thing is that when I'm on stage in Joe's Pub playing my guitar, who am I in that moment? Am I the playwright who wrote Top Dog Underdog? Yes. And I'm somebody new. I'm always, just dissolving obstacles. It's thrilling to me and giving people permission to dissolve their own. I'm being an example. I'm really wanting to be an example for others, Not so that, I know, just my pet peeve, not so that they can stand on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a saying from the mother continent. Standing on your shoulders of giants. That's beautiful. Walk in my company. I walk in James Baldwin's company. I do not stand on James Baldwin's shoulders.
Okay.
I work to walk in his company.
Yeah.
You
You spoke earlier about downtown and having your work a little further uptown, and something I've been thinking a lot about this fall season when we have A Raisin in the Sun and
fantastic.
Baldwin and Buckley and Cambridge through ERS, also in the space. So having in our home Lorraine Hansberry and James Baldwin, who were good friends, and so thinking about that relationship that they both had to move downtown at a time when a lot of Black artists had relationships up to town as well, and Harlem, and thinking about how you've identified as like having downtown as your home, right? And I'm curious where you see yourself sort of in that. Well, you've already said you're walking with him. You're walking in his company.
Working to walk in his company. Yeah.
We're working
to walk. Sometimes I got to run
to walk in his company.
Yeah.
And then thinking about how important place is, right? How important is downtown and that downtown scene to you?
When I came on the scene, 90s, I tried very hard, I felt, to get my plays done by whoever would do them, and found no acceptance with the sort of traditional Black theater circuit. Yeah. So I found my first I self-produced at the gas station downtown, which was Avenue, First Street and Avenue B or something like that. It's no longer there. Yeah. And then I found a place that would do my plays, which was even so downtown. It wasn't even on the island. It wasn't even in Manhattan. It was Baca downtown. Yeah. Baca downtown in Brooklyn. So that's where I found acceptance. Those weren't traditional Black spaces. Right. So I think now, there's, but back then it was very much Black plays meant a certain thing, and mine were not those. Right. So I just, just had to find a place. I didn't need necessarily people who looked like me. I just needed people who would accept me.
Accept you, yeah.
And what we find is, in truth, is that, we're not always accepted by people who look like us. Yeah. And we're not always dissed by people who don't look like us. Yeah. And so affinity groups need mindfulness when we create our affinity groups. Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, you can have it all. But
we need like 5 more hours.
I know, but I could go. I could get on my soapbox about that. But no, we really need to. And we need to. We need to go beyond the surface, people. I mean, that's what I'm not talking about. When I'm talking about sacred agents, we need to go beyond the surface. Now is the time. We need to just be more mindful and wake up to the love. Which is what I keep saying about Top Dog Underdog. It's about waking up to the love. It's so important. Yeah. I just want your love to love me.
Yay, thank you. Memories of my son on the chairs for me.
He was such a beautiful squirmer, though. They squirm. They do that. They do that. Right? And they do that. I swear they do that because they're saying, "Mom, don't let me get away with this." Yeah. And this will continue, I think, throughout their lives.
Yeah. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Mom, don't let me get away with this.
The next and last song, "Which Away the World."
Yeah, "Which Away the World."
Plays from the Plague Year. But you wrote it before then?
I wrote it before. I wrote "Which Away" before the pandemic happened. Right. It was a question it's been a question on my mind for years. But I wrote a song about because where are we going? What are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing here? But it fits very beautifully in place for the Plague Year. And it comes, again, I wrote 23 songs for that show, music and lyrics, which I'm very proud of because I keep mentioning that. Yes. But this one comes toward the end of the evening. And it comes right after a play called The Trial in Minneapolis, which recounts the trial that they were having, the cops on trial for George Floyd's murder. And I remember how we were all watching it. And so there's a play called The Trial in Minneapolis. And then how they can't turn off the television set. Mm-hmm. The characters can't turn off the television set. And then the song comes out of that. And it's sung, in place for the Plague Year, I sing some of the songs, but many of them are sung by our wonderful actors who are amazing. Leland Fowler and Kenita Miller. Yes. I'm going to get her name. Kenita Miller. Yes. Right. Yes. So they sing this song. So this is a duet. Okay. They sing the duet version of this, but I wrote it just, So
great.
Okay. They sing it beautifully, and everybody will be on time. But anyway, so here we go. Let me see. Lots of chords in this song. Let me see if I can remember them all and remember all the words. Let's see. Okay. Can somebody tell me
which way the world is headed now. Somebody tell me which way the world is headed now. Cause I don't got all day to decide if I'm gonna stay here with you, baby, and I don't got all day to remember where I put my pride. Can somebody tell me which way the world is spinning now? 'Cause I would really like to know if we are ending or if we are beginning now.
And it means a lot to like really have had this full circle moment with you. So thank you for being our first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Bit, and we can't wait to have you back.
Great team.
You can come back whenever you want.
I'm gonna come back all
and
the time.
We'll be
I'll be like lingering in the background.
We'll be talking more. And when we, when we have our studios, come hang out, just knock it.
Right?
Like, who's there at the door?
Hi, it's me.
Somebody's here.
It'll be like, yeah.
Yeah. So
thank you, Carly. Thank you.
At the top of this episode, I started by saying that we had welcomed 2 legends into our space. But as I'm sure many of you know, the process of producing theater involves more than just actors and directors. Theater requires, just like in life, that many people come together for one common goal.
Above all else.
Above all else.
Above all else. Above all else. The Public Theater believes that culture belongs to everyone.
Everyone. Everyone.
Everyone. The public will continue to champion free expression.
Free expression.
Free expression, as it always has done. Join us.
Join us. Join us.
Engage with us on Twitter.
Connect with us on Facebook.
Follow us on Instagram.
We are one public. We are one public.
We are one public.
Somos un public.
We are one public. One public.
One public. We are one public.
On our next episode, we sit down with director and trustee of the Lorraine Hansberry Literary Trust, Joy Gresham, and Tony-nominated Robert O'Hara, director of the Fall 22 production of A Raisin in the Sun.
Public theater is...
The public theater is...
The public theater is a gift.
To me, the public theater is...
like a neighborhood. You know, when you live in a neighborhood or on a block, you can go to each other's house and feel welcome. When you walk in, you feel like you're at home. That's what the public theater is for me.
Welcome home to Public Square 2.0. We can't wait to have you back.
Today's episode of Public Square 2.0 was hosted and produced by Garlia Cornelia Jones with associate producer Emily White. Creative production includes story support by Ghostlight Creative Productions, with video editing by John Sloan III and audio production by Justin K. Sloan. Special thanks to Susan Laurie Parks, Ruth Sternberg, and the Public Theater. For a full list of credits, please visit our website, publictheater.org, for the show notes.